Hello, investors. It is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, January 17th, 4:26 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we're back in an uptrend, and if we look at the trend gauge over here, market leaders with the green arrow in grow mode, and just been seeing a lot of good feedback in names. And I actually did a podcast segment about that, diving more deeper into what to look for and how you grade stocks. So if any of you guys are interested, give that a watch. Short term, green arrow as well. We major indexes are back above the 21 EMA. Medium term, this is the 50-day moving average. Neutral with some weakness in small and mids, but the Qs and the S&P are back above. And then long term, this is the 200-day moving average. Market never gets into serious trouble until we have a sustained break below there, and we remain above. What happened today? Well, just strong finish to a volatile week. Final numbers 21 over 21 list up 1.13%, 14 green, 7 red. Big 8 up 1.75%, RG8 up 0.72%. 60/40 stock and bond up 0.36% and GROTECTION up 1.04%. Alrighty, let's get into the inter-asset correlation. As always, chart of the S&P 500 and super strong move. Let's just zoom out for a second. And when you look at the higher time frames, there's less noise. And we're finishing this week with an upside bullish engulfing candle back above the 21 and 10-week moving average. And I mean, this weekly just looks phenomenal. This pullbacks are getting bought in a longer term uptrend, and it looks great. Look at the daily back above all the MAs as well. Only caution would be, 5 days up in a row off this 100-day moving average. So, I got no idea what's going to happen, but some scenarios, we're right at that 6,000 resistance level. We could pause a little bit, or, we're clearing this downtrend line from the high. So we could just continue to move higher in a low volatility fashion as the VIX continues to leak off as well. And we just closed under that 6,000 level, but up 1% on the day, and great action. The shorter term, the 8 and the 21 are hooking back up as well. So, really strong, positive week and strong outlook into next week. RSP still relative weakness, but got that false bear flag breakdown, and now coming into the 50-day. So maybe just see this handle out and build a higher low, but nevertheless looks good. And the weekly, this is a nice bullish engulfing off the 40-week moving average, and that's more of a longer term moving average trend gauge. But again, really good action and just not showing signs that the market was going to go into serious trouble. The Qs objectively probably look the best, confirming back above this downtrend line. And again, the only concern would be we're like 5 days up off this 100-day moving average. So, I kind of laid out the scenarios, continue to push back up or, put some inside days, build a higher low, remount the moving averages. We'll see what next week brings. Mag 7, again, this looks good. It's just Nvidia's not doing a whole lot. Apple's been noticeably weak, Microsoft, so kind of a mixed bag in this space. And then you have, Tesla that's extremely strong. And Google looks fantastic, but this chart looks good. So maybe see if this can break out. Dow coming into the 50-day, 5 days up off the lows. Mid caps again closed right around just above the 50-day here, but 5 days up in a row. But you can see some minor RS here. Take a look at the weekly, similar to RSP, found support at the 40-week moving average. Russell 2000, getting back above the 21 and the 100-day, and still got that 50-day of overhead above coming into this 2,300 level. That was this high in August, and then also the low of this election announcement. So that's a big level. If it blasts through there, that could be that could be game on for small caps. ARK pulling up really well. Got great leadership in this basket, with crypto, Tesla. So this proxy is doing really well. and it's got that first digestion after this big stage one base breakout. So this one looks really good and definitely, a sector where money's flowing. FFTY, it's kind of gauge for leaders. Similar to, small and mid caps, 5 days up off the lows, cleared this downtrend line. So watch it to be supported on any pullbacks. VIX, this continues to come down, closing below 16, which is great to see. And that should be conducive of lower volatility environment with growth stocks outperforming. Dollar continues to be strong, just still monitoring this. Small caps are still going to probably struggle to see sustained momentum to the upside if the dollar remains strong. I'm still riding the 21-day for now. Gold acting well to remounted back above all the moving averages, just kind of in this base here for now. Gold stocks trying to get back above the 200-day. Silver, just honestly, no man's land, no clear trend. Bitcoin powerhouse. You know, continue to explain how bullish I am on Bitcoin and the price agrees. Earlier this week, we walked you guys through that undercut reversal, and that proved to play off extremely well. You had confluence there. This was a major support zone. I kind of talked about how a head and shoulders top is a very low probability setup, especially after this is the first digestion after a massive base breakout. So the lean was always bullish, undercut and reclaim that level, which coincided with the 50-day. And now this is really blasting higher. And we're seeing a lot of participation in the related equities like Robinhood, MicroStrategy, Coinbase, and some of these other smaller miners like Wolf, Hut, etc. Bonds, good to see these start to bounce back. Still in a downtrend, but showing signs of life. This was a nice reversal here and coming back up, and would love to see these continue. TLT, similar thing here, and then that coincides with the rates coming lower. Would love to see the rates break the 21-day and show further weakness. TNX as well. Still look relatively bullish, but again, monitoring kind of, got an uptrend channel here and see if it comes back into the low end of the range. It's the inter-asset correlation. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The stochastics are hooking up on the indexes, the RGA. NASI RSI is very oversold, hooking back on a buy, and then percent of stocks above the 5-day. That got pretty overheated to the upside today. That's quite overbought. So still monitoring that, and that could be another signal that, hey, maybe the market puts an inside day, backfills, remounts the moving averages, or it's a secondary indicator, so it can stay overbought as well. The NAM exposure back up to 70. News today, we had home building permits and starts. That kind of fueled the pre-market move and the rally into the open. And on a positive note, is very little economic data next week, and it is a shortened week with no trading on Monday. Keys into today, SPX versus the 50-day, got the green arrow there. The Qs versus the 50 and 515 level, green arrow there. 10-year in USD, just mixed action. Not making new highs, but not really leaking off. And then leaders, really good action there. Day count up 4, 3 days above the 8, 3 days above the 21. Sectors wise, 10 of the 11 spider sectors were all green today. So, positive breath day. Bitcoin and semiconductor strong as well. And then weakness, natural gas, which is still up quite a bit on the month. I want to say it's up over 30%. So, and that's helping some of the names in the portfolio like EQT. Gold down, and then XLV, the only spider sector red on the day. In-house today, we just added to our QLD position. So our beta is up to 1.52 with 5.47 balance at risk. Bottom line, strong green close to end the week despite the volatility. All right, let's get into some charts of interest. All right, let's start with the 21 over 21 list. And I mentioned semiconductors, and Marvell just acted, perfect today. This really was leading today. Got back through the high volume close, and I just can't emphasize enough. This is an amazing looking chart. prompted up on this earnings gap, built higher lows off the 21, showing relative strength. That's what a leader does. And then when the market started to turn, this is really getting going. And look at this weekly. This is also why I like this so much. I mean, breaking out of a huge weekly base with a very nice 6, 7 week base flag trying to break out. So this one looks good, and definitely money's flowing into, the Marvells of the world, other names versus Nvidia and CRDO. It's another one. Pretty picture perfect chart breaking out of this consolidation base. Great numbers moving forward. Robinhood, another picture perfect chart. 4 days up out of this breakout zone, and this now this is, sometimes we look at the correlations of these Bitcoin proxies, and usually this traded with Bitcoin, but it never tended to like outperform. And now with the Bitcoin move, this one's really starting to outperform. Great volume, pretty nice estimates going forward. Plus, Robinhood just has all the retail adoption and some new products like that Robinhood Legend and stuff. ALAB, this is another semiconductor acting great, coming against this downtrend line, and continues to build higher lows. Avgo, another one that looks fantastic. This one looks like it's ready to run next week. Really tight inside day today, closing near the high of the day. And on as the market moved lower, this never violated that earnings gap low and this low from here. If we look at the weekly, weekly looks fantastic. And this also brings me to a point of, the longer term charts are important. And Avgo, you want to see charts that are moving up the right side of the screen. And this one is proven to make linear moves. It's just been a really nice uptrending stock. So expectation is for that to continue. GEV, arguably one of the best stocks in the market right now, leading in that power generation theme and closing back above 400 and making another new all-time high. Look at the weekly here. Um, just fantastic all-time high weekly close, and this one's got a lot going for it as well. VRT looks good in this cup. Maybe it handles, maybe it just shoots up, but nevertheless looks good. And this is a huge player with the data center power needs as well. CLS, another one, kind of say this is kind of like a ascending base breakout here. And this one just continues to run. Google, this one looks really good as well. Probably one of the better looking mega caps, and it's setting up in a nice pennant flag here right under highs. Ralph Lauren coming out of this base. Deckers forming another base as well. Lulu kind of leaking off, showing a little relative weakness. CEG, another one in the power generation, alternative energy group. Had that catalyst. They were buying that, forget the company name, exactly what the news was, but there was a piece of news gapped up on huge volume, pulled back, and now U-turning higher. Reddit, this one looks good. This one almost reminds me of the GEV base that it just recently broke out of. So watch this one for strength into next week. Gold, just kind of in this base. Cyber, breaking out of this mini consolidation. And then Dutch Bros, another one, probably the best acting name in the retail restaurant. Some of those other stocks have shown relative weakness. Kava specifically, let's just take a look at what that looks like. Had this period of relative strength. Now it's in this period of basing relative weakness, but this starts to hook back up, and there's some more group participation in the restaurant industry group that could be good for bros, but it's beaten to its own drum right now and acting well. EQT continues to power higher. Short term getting a little extended on the daily, but zooming out to the weekly, this is breaking out of a huge base. And these natural gas names, the N for these names is how they can power the data centers. And I also did a podcast segment on this a couple weeks back, if you guys are interested. VST, this had some news that one of their plants caught on fire, but obviously it got bought up pre-market and closed above this pivot from the breakout. Rock Lab kind of entering a period of basing, that 50 days catching up, so definitely one to watch. And NVIZ shot up here pretty sharply, found resistance at that 38.69 level. So what I'd be looking for here is kind of a handle to handle out and form that cup. But this is a base on base pattern to me, and those can be quite powerful patterns. But nevertheless, this one's looking good, showing RS versus the market. Let's take a look at the big eight. Covered Google, like I mentioned, Microsoft kind of in no man's land. Apple definitely, sorry, start with NVIDIA. NVIDIA not giving up. It is showing relative weakness, but this likely is just entering it into long-term base. And really, it closed today at 137, and it hasn't done anything from this reversal day here back in June. So that tells you everything you need to know. But it's basing again, maybe it just needs a couple weeks. As long as it's not breaking down, that's good for the semiconductor group. Tesla, super strong here. You know, just back above 400, back above that previous weekly all-time high back here. And this was a textbook bounce off the 10-week moving average. So this one continues to look really good into this year. Amazon, kind of breaking out this downtrend line. Netflix, relative weakness, maybe just basing. Google, one of the best looking names. Microsoft, no man's land. Apple, relative weakness. Meta, forming a pretty nice base here, right under highs, and had some news, TikTok ban and whatnot, and just some elevated volatility. But um, most of the names are acting pretty well, and especially the 21 over 21 list. And we'll end it with the chart of S&P 500 and just basically, keys to watch. You got 6,000 resistance. You want to see it hold the 50-day and 21 on any pullback. Another thing is, this was a choppy zone, but this week I've seen some signs that the market is rewarding buying breakouts. And that was my podcast section, but I was bringing off the top of my head SMTC, breakout buyers working, HUD, breakout buying's working. You can even argue Marvell working, Tesla. So, pretty volatile a couple of weeks, but super strong close on the week and strength had worked into the end of the week. So that's something I'm always watching and to just recognize what type of environment you are in right now. But, three main things, stocks, and feedback from positions are acting well. Indexes back above the moving averages. And another thing, sentiment's still kind of negative. And, you look at the AAII Thursday, that was the highest bearish reading in months. And then NAM exposure only 70%, which seems, lightly invested given the market's only, 2-3% off all-time highs. If you also look at, the fear and greed index, that's still in the fear. So, a couple of things to look at, to watch into next week. And a reminder, it's a shortened trading week next week. But good end to the week. So that is going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com. And you can find me on X at ConnorJBates_, or you can call us at 855 Real Wealth, 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, reach out to us. We can talk about our two strategies that we have at Revere, GROTECTION and TurboTection. And in my view, there's never a better time to become a client of Revere than right now. So that's going to wrap it. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.